Hello, everyone. Pastor George here, and on today's Theolog, I am going to talk about the rhythms of worship, or how we can kind of get ingrained into patterns. And it's sometimes hard for us to connect with God during those things, or even to get out of them and try and find new ways of connecting to God, right? And I'm going to relate this to laugh tracks. Now, you might say, what does that have to do with laugh tracks? And I'll tell you. So I like comedy shows quite a bit. But one of the things that I can't stand is laugh track shows. So any show with a laugh track becomes almost instantly unfunny to me. And the reason that is because it kind of tricks you into thinking it's funny. Some of them are genuinely funny. I'm thinking of like Seinfeld as probably being the best example of a show with a laugh track that is genuinely funny. But many of them are actually very well edited and put together, and the laugh track is used as a way to tell you how you should feel about something, right? It's kind of the same thing as when you if you were to go to a live taping of a late night show, and they have the applause symbol or whatever, and then everyone's supposed to clap and be happy. And what that is it's not actually a genuine reaction to what's happening, right? It's actually to try and fool the people who are watching at home, right? And so the laugh track actually is placed strategically by editors after things that are supposedly supposed to be funny, and then they actually aren't. So you can actually go on YouTube and find clips from shows that have laugh tracks with the laugh track unadded, and you'll realize that it's actually not as funny as maybe you thought it was. So I have like a great respect for sitcoms like Community or Arrested Development that don't use laugh tracks and are still really funny. I also think it says, that it's more from a creative standpoint, being more willing to take risks and saying, this is the type of comedy I do. It's supposed to be, it's funny to me. It'll be funny to you too. That type of thing, right? And so, how does this relate to worship? Well, when we go to worship and things like this, and this is something I've picked up on just in my short time here, but even in my own life, there are things that we're expected to do or expected to say, and ways that we're supposed to react to things that are we are intended, at least in the past or maybe earlier in our lives, to elicit certain emotions or feelings to things, right? So I can't tell you how many times I've heard things from people where they say that certain modes or certain things of doing, ways of thinking, or certain things that we do in the church, whether it's old or new, doesn't really have much personal effect for them on their spiritual level, right? And that's probably because in some way we've gotten used to receiving this certain type of thing. And if that's taken away, we don't really know what to do with this new thing, right? We lose the laugh track and we don't know what to make of it. Now, in worship, no one is supposed to be forced to feel anything, right? You don't have to laugh at any of my bad jokes. You don't have to tear up during my sermon, right? You don't have to feel certain things. But the thing that you should be wanting to pursue in worship is wanting to pursue a relationship with God and wanting to hear his word, right? So as many of you have come back, you've noticed that in the bulletin, and this has been this way for some time, but especially now that people are in person, that I've added all of these sections in explaining what each part of it does. Now, part of the reason I did that is for visitors, right? Because as much as this might be difficult for some of us to think of, many people today have no vocabulary for talking about God, for thinking about what we're doing in church. And so I've added those sections in to explain to visitors what these things mean and what they mean to us. I know that it's added a little bit of clutter, but this is actually an easy way of reaching out to people who come visit and who don't know much about Presbyterian church services, don't know much about what we do. And honestly, I'm not gonna toot your guys' horn. Some of you guys ask me questions about why we do things, and you should know them too. And it just goes to show that maybe it's good that it's in there, because some of you guys do need to know them. And so I have those in there. And the point of the whole thing, you'll kind of see this refrain, right, is that we're supposed to be attentive and paying attention and things on our end to do that, right? A lot of people think that it's kind of my job to go up there and entertain everyone, make sure everyone has a good time. But that's actually not my job, right? My job is to lead everyone in the worship, right? Lead everyone, and to exposit Scripture. That's my job, right? Minister of word and sacrament. Your guys' job is the congregation, and my job when I go to churches and things like that is to listen intently and pay attention to what people are saying. So it's like reading a book, right, or listening to music with actually trying to listen to it, or watching a comedy show without a laugh track, right? You actually need to pay attention to what the people are saying and really put your heart in it. And you can't just be kind of led. Just wimp-wristed through something, right? That the point of worship is that you come there to worship God. And so I think that I was watching some clips and things like that, and it reminded me of that, and how in my life I often try and I don't try, but I end up losing kind of connection to those things. And a great way to get it back, or a way to apply yourself, is to actually pay attention and think about what's happening. The first time I ever did that with liturgy changed the way I looked at Christian services forever. Liturgy is like the reading back and forth and stuff like that. Like actually paying attention to the words instead of just saying them because they're in bold or whatever. And as you guys know, I'm actually not that big of a liturgy guy. But when I found that out and did it, I actually saw great purpose in it and found it to be enjoyable. And now I kind of really is what I do is walk it back into a more of a balanced state than where it's gone in the past half century or so, at least in the Presbyterian Church. But that's neither here nor there. Just pay attention to the rhythm of the service, and don't look for a laugh track when you come to church. Make sure to pay attention. So that's what I have to say today. I will see you guys on Thursday with our mailbag stuff, and tomorrow morning for our Bible study. So I'll see you guys then. Peace out.